This week, one of the world's top investigative journalists and how he penetrated the dark and dangerous world of cyber hacking. We'll tell you about a new advertising showcase concept called Portfolio Night and a quick hit parade of the most downloaded local ads this past month on YouTube. This is Mags on Media. Let's start the show. Now, he's the first solo artist to have had 4 top 40 singles before releasing an album. He has 40 million Twitter followers, and he'd like to be an architect. Sadly, we're not talking about Bruce Springsteen or Mick Jagger, but Justin Bieber. The teen phenomenon swept through South Africa recently, and now let's examine this massive thing called Brand Bieber, perhaps more importantly, whether it can last. With me is Jason Levin, HDI Youth Marketeers, along with Brokensha. We know him better as the music guru. Gentlemen, to both of you, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Fess up. You were both there, weren't you?
No, but my daughter was there. My 14-year-old daughter was there, and I have a full report. Yeah. And apparently it's awesome. You know, if you're a tween or a teen or a pre-tween, Justin Bieber is just the thing you want to see. Remember, Jeremy, the hype about blessed bridges?
Yes.
Think about that, handing out the rose. Justin Bieber does the same thing, far better, far more professionally, but appeals to a different audience. Not middle-aged housewives. Now it's their 14-year-old grandchildren at this point.
And we'll explore the brand intrinsic with Jason in just a minute. But first of all, the sensation itself. I mean, where did this start, Sean?
Well, it started in 2008. Where he was a kid who was entering talent competitions in Canada. He had a very ambitious mother, or mother who believed in him, depending on how you put it. She had him when she was young. She was 18 when she had him. And so she is youth-minded. And she started posting his videos on YouTube. Eventually they were spotted by a man called Scooter Brown, who's a talent scout, and has become the president of So Def Records, who himself is a bit of a teen prodigy because he became the president at 19. So he believes in youth and youth talent. And he spotted this guy and he picked him up, and strangely enough, Disney got interested. Not only YouTube and not only the world. And Disney at that point, if you remember before 1996, what did you do if you were a parent of a child who was 12? Did you either take a chance on mainstream radio with the lyrics and the content, or did you resign yourself to listening to Barney and Disney soundtracks that were on your CDs? So Disney came up with Radio Disney. And out of Radio Disney has been a whole new generation of artists have been created for a new market.
All about finding the gap in the market. Jason, what's the brand appeal here, do you think?
We've surveyed this locally. All the stereotypes that you'd expect about believers are true. They are early teen to pre-teen, that age group. They're not late teen and young adults. They are female dominant, but not exclusively female. Race isn't a huge dynamic in the youth market per se, but in Brand Bieber it definitely is. His followers are almost without exception white or Asian. There's very little black or township appeal in the brand. And we've read some stuff recently about him kind of developing a bit of a bad boy antics. I mean, he can't go overboard on that because he is loved for his wholesome but very mildly edgy appeal. He's loved for his hair, he's loved for his music. And he certainly hasn't felt a heavy backlash from having a bit of bad boyness, but certainly parents we've seen are getting a bit tetchy on him whether that's going to drive to another.
And we can talk about where the brand might head. Yeah. Sean, the music itself and the act. Is it any good?
I will recognize anyone's right to enjoy it, but in my opinion, it is extremely trite.
Yeah.
It's very bland, but then you could say the same thing about Frank Sinatra when he started out. Yeah. You could say the same thing about a lot of people. And it's aimed at a purpose. It's not, I don't think he's stupid, and he's a perfectly wonderful performer. But it's not aimed at people like us. It's aimed at our 14-year-old daughters. And it presents a fairy tale, a beautiful fairy tale about this young, troubled, slightly sensitive, shy kid with an inspiring voice who comes from a home where his mother was 18 when she had him. It's a fairy tale. And he became a pop star. And he speaks to them and he stands up on stage and says things like, do you believe? Have you been bullied? Have you ever been told that you can never do anything? Well, it's time to never say never. And then he launches into it. And if you are 13 and these are the issues that are important to you, you're going to be sold.
Tears start coming down. Is this a brand, do you think, that can sustain?
It's extremely well managed, and if you look at how he spends his money, he does it very, very cleverly. So the guy has not, he's got good people behind him. He will never be Paul McCartney, but he has the same pop sensibility. He'll never be Madonna, but she knew how to change. And he'll never be David Bowie, but they're doing the same thing. The hijinks, I think, possibly puberty, without being indelicate, and hopefully he gets it out of his system. He's never going to be the next Bob Dylan. He's never going to be the next John Lennon, but he could be the next Ricky Martin and keep going for decades.
And as a brand, Jason, he also gets social media, doesn't he? What, 40 million followers on Twitter?
He understands that his market wants to hear from him a lot, and he posts a lot.
Yeah. Which is also, I mean, the hallmark of any great brand development, isn't it?
In the product category, he is very much the same as social media. He's very prolific in social media, and he's very prolific in products. I mean, there's been some concerns that the Bieber license has already been overextended into territories that shouldn't have gone. But backpacks, pencil cases, beach towels, the biggest selling fragrance of 2012, they're all Bieber.
Well, Jason Levin and Sean Brokensha, thank you very much indeed for the insight. Your thoughts, by the way, on Brand Bieber and the roller coaster on our Facebook page on this address. Please be as honest as you want to. Coming up on the program, we'll go behind the scenes of a new campaign for Johnny Walker and why a local airline has aligned its brand with the ballet.
News that moves. enca.com.